Good evening, Ken. Thank you for joining us at Programmatic Pioneer Summit Asia for this short conversation to get to know more about what's happening in the programmatic space in Asia.
Well, thank you for having me.
Welcome. Do you mind giving us a short introduction of yourself first?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Ken Ip. I'm currently the Assistant General Manager and Group Head of Marketing at BSC Group, in charge of the marketing of the engineering, design, construction, wholesale, and retail business, which include over 200 lifestyle brands. At a personal level, I enjoy reading a lot and have written 2 bestsellers named Life Hacks and Growth Hacks. And on top of my day job, I'm also an active keynote speaker. I have my own column in a number of business publications and magazines, and I'm also an associate professor in marketing technology. And at present, I'm also the chairman of the Asia MarTech Society and currently serve on the advisory board for several business organizations, advising on industry growth problems.
Well, that's very nice, and we are super lucky to have you on board as one of our speakers at the summit. So the future of programmatic advertising in the cookieless world is currently one of the hottest topics for brands and marketers right now. So let's move on to the conversation. How should marketers respond to the challenge of the cookieless era?
Well, a lot of people always talk about, having a cookieless future. First of all, I think whether you're in a CMO or head of marketing of your company, or just someone working in an agency, I think the first rule of thumb is do not panic. Even if third-party cookies are finally being removed from Google according to this latest revised timeline, it will not be an overnight shift. So instead, cookies will be gradually fade away over the course of 3 to 6 months. I think in some circumstances, third-party cookies may still be used for another 12 months. So there is still time. My recommendation would be this. I think as marketers, we should start focusing our energy into finding alternative solutions that are transparent, compliant, and adaptable across different devices and platforms relevant to today's marketing mix. Social media, your EDMs, your website, e-commerce marketplaces, you name it. And for me, in a way, having a cookieless era is actually a blessing in disguise, because I think for far too long, brand marketers and even agency consultants have, in my opinion, have overly kind of relied on cookies for their digital marketing strategy, because it was easy, data was readily available. It was a quick shortcut for companies to track their customers' digital footprints, their habits, the behaviors. So in other words, as an industry, we were kind of spoiled, which means now we just have to think a lot harder and be a lot more creative. And also another point I like to make is that what we're all talking about, having a future without cookies, but to be precise, what Google is saying is they're banning third-party cookies. So meaning marketers can still leverage on, primary data or data you can mine from your own source or database, or more company known as first-party cookies. And it can still be used and applied in your future targeting and retargeting campaigns. So yes, although the general sentiment of the public, the consumers are seeking for greater privacy, but I believe they will still be ready to provide their personal data if brands and companies are able to demonstrate how the data you obtained will benefit them and enhance the experience. I think that would be the key.
So it's in a much more safer, private way.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So with that, we have also seen an uptake in the MarTech technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how can marketers of today unlock more value from their MarTech? And can you share a few examples of how you've seen top brands optimize this?
Well, it's a good question. I think for me personally, I believe MarTech is about how you can apply basic principles, the fundamental of marketing, and kind of ascending it from an intuition, a gut feeling, to something that's more systematic, that's tangible, with actions that can be repeated, success that can be replicated and scalable. And that's where the beauty of things like automation can come into play. And all this is to help facilitate, brands, businesses, and marketers to make rational and informed decisions that are data-driven. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're the owner of a grocery store. And generally in business, there's only a finite resource. And in your case, there's no difference. So within your current mode of operation, you can only afford, let's say, 3 full-time employees at any given time, and each managing a cashier or counter. And your business challenge is this. There is always a long line of queues in the shop, people waiting during lunch hours, with many pissed off and impatient customers waiting and waiting. So how can you quicken up the payment process and reduce the waiting time of your customers without adding more manpower? So this is where MarTech can help. So for instance, let's say if you go through your data of what your customers is buying, and you discover that during lunch hours, around, let's say, 1/3 of your customers are really just buying 1 or 2 items at most, like a sandwich plus a drink perhaps. So what can you do? So answer is, perhaps you can turn one of your 3 cashiers into an express lane. So that way, you're able to channel these customers into a quicker solution, thereby freeing up capacity for existing resources to do more. So we see a lot of these similar examples have been applied in retail, F&B, and across many B2C industries.
So I think definitely for marketing teams, they would really want to ensure that they're maximizing the value of their digital marketing investments, and these tips definitely would help. How will the future of MarTech and marketing shape up in your view in the light of the evolving data and privacy trends?
Well, I think it will be about doing more with less, and kind of making better and smarter decisions. And what I mean by smart is that being smart is really about the application of the digital technologies to business problems. That could encompasses anything from customer relationship management, CRM, your PIM, product information management, and to platforms like ERP, Salesforce, et cetera. And companies are smart when they can make use of digital technology and data to solve their pressing needs. So in other words, it's really about harnessing information and communications technology, the IoT, the Internet of Things, and getting insights into the data to actually develop and adapt smarter applications that make day-to-day business more efficient and seamless. We also have a bunch of, I would say, new vocabularies that will shape, I believe, will shape the digital industry for many years to come. So you've all heard it, words like artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud, and data. What I would call the new A, B, C, and Ds. And to answer your question, I think the future will be bright.
That's good to hear. All right, so Ken, you've been recently appointed as the Asian MarTech Society Chairman for the 2021 to 2022 Board of Directors. Could you tell us more about this, and what's your proudest moment thus far?
Well, first, just to briefly introduce ourselves. We are an independent, non-profit association representing the Asia's MarTech community. It all started about 4 or 5 years ago, I think purely by chance. At the time, me and a group of CMOs and head of marketing, we're not friends per se, but throughout the year, we see each other quite regularly at industry events, often speaking on the same stage as well. And we found that half of the time, we notice the events that we attend or speaking at tends to just get asked, very generic questions about the latest trends in digital marketing, or there are other times you see, agencies or tech suppliers presenting case studies, the product solutions. And to be frank, we don't really learn a lot, nor do we really engage in any, deep, meaningful conversations about the latest marketing technologies. So as a group, we've decided to do something about it. And being the chairman of the Market Society, my manifesto is very simple. One is to connect, be it the users, the digital marketers, even the startups of the market communities and the technology investors. We want to connect them together. And then to build and provide an ecosystem for the community and for the market businesses to thrive and prosper through partnerships and collaborations. And lastly, promotion, represent the interests of the industry in regards to trends, policy, even legislations or industry-wide issues and challenges. And that's exactly why we are partnering up with you guys at the Programmatic Pioneer Summit.
That's great. So Ken, we are really grateful that you could join us for this conversation, but even more so that you'll be speaking at the summit. Could you mind giving a small teaser to the audience about what they can expect from your session?
Well, you're going to expect a lot of honest opinion and feedback to the tech suppliers about how we really feel about them, from a marketing person point of view. Some they may like to hear, some they may not be happy or even disagree with. But at the end of the day, the conversations is really going to be about, stimulating and advocating critical thinking and discussions, and ultimately like recommendations of, what we can do to help and benefit both parties. I'm very excited to be part of the advisory board and speaker for the upcoming Programmatic Pioneer Summit, organized by the Worldwide Business Research. The two-day conference will cover all aspects of building a successful programmatic strategy, from mobile display and video to creative messaging, kind of establishing a winning brand and agency relationship, and to all the challenges that's bringing in-house and everything in between. So please join us at the Programmatic Pioneers Virtual Summit. See you there.